What's up, everyone? Hunter and the Sanj here. We're doing a Thursday live. This won't be our weekly preview. We'll just kind of be talking about what the season's been, what the stakes are, what we're looking at in terms of maybe playoffs and stuff. And yeah, just talking about kind of the overall picture of where this team is at right now, as we usually do on our Bird Gang Live. So,
A lot of
Sanjay,
things to
how are you
talk about,
doing?
man.
How are you feeling after we took like 20 minutes to figure out some technical difficulties on both our
Oof.
ends? And how's your day going?
The technical difficulties are always a struggle, but dang, they were something today. Anyway, now we got that all figured out. Otherwise, the day's going okay. Did a little bit of studying early this morning. Got myself geared up, ready to go. MCAT prep season is in full swing, so just a little bit of that. It's nice to have a little break in my day now to just calm down, chill out, and talk
Sure.
some sports. You feel me?
Yeah, for sure. Well, we're here. I mean, we have 2 games left. We could clinch as early as this Sunday, which is just crazy to think
Yeah.
about. I don't think any of us envisioned that coming into this season, at least. So it's nice. It's a really cool feeling to be like. I think the whole week the kind of vibe has just been like,
Oh yeah.
man, like just enjoy it because on Sunday we're going to clinch. Like, obviously we don't know that for sure, and it's the NFL, anything can happen. But like, I think the assumption is like, that things are going to kind of go our way because what we need to clinch is pretty likely, a lot of it at least. So we'll get into that. We'll get into specifics, but looking back at what we thought this year was going to be, and now seeing that, barring a collapse, this team is probably going to be a 9 or 10 win team. My
Mhm.
goodness, what a turnaround they had mid-season. That Lions game did not seem like a turning point, but it was. And ironically, it was the flower analogy that sparked our run. The outside media definitely didn't like it, but the guys in the locker room bought into it, and they really buy into what Nick Sirianni
Mhm.
says. So, um, what do you think about what this team has accomplished relative to what was shown on paper at the start of the year?
So I always find it interesting. The reason I'm so excited for the regular season to finish out one of them is that it's always interesting to go back and look at the preseason takes and be like, how much of these turned out the way we expected? And you know what? In a weird way, this season has kind of turned out exactly how we expected. Like in the preseason preview, I think we had us going 9-8, 10-7, I
Yeah,
think was the optimistic route. Like we're pretty much there. We pretty much I will either fall right at that or a game under that. So point being, this is just kind of played out long term, kind of exactly how we expected. In the short term, there were huge swings because I don't think any of us saw the season opener going as bad as it did. I don't think any of
I
us
mean,
saw
I mean, well, we won against the Falcons in the season opener.
sorry, not season. I mean, the opening stretch of the season. I should have
Yeah,
phrased that a bit better. I don't think any of us could have seen the opening stretch of this season going as bad as it did. But I also don't think many of us saw this whole long stretch of revival our birds would have in this home stretch. I think it was kind of expected that we drop one somewhere in here, but we stayed up on it. We've been competing. And I gotta say, overall, long term, I feel expectations have kind of played out from what we thought they would be in the preseason. Now,
hmm
obviously, we'll see how the year closes out. These last 2 weeks could change or could make or break a lot of that. But at least so far, I feel like we're right there where we thought we'd be, man. I really do.
hmm definitely. And I think, look, I said this yesterday with Joe Castro on our live. I mean, um, look, Howie and Lurie, they have their issues, but you have to give them some credit because at the end of the day, they know how to put a competitive football team on the field. Not a contender all the time, and not the team that we always want, but they still know how to put a team on the field and coaching staff on the field that's going to be in almost every game. I mean, yeah, there was the Raiders blowout, there was the Cowboys blowout. There were a couple ugly games early on, but like the Chiefs game, look, I know they scored every drive against us, but our offense, you know, without a few of those early mistakes, those young mistakes we had with the coaching staff and the players and the undisciplined football, the end of year offense might have had a little bit more to do in that game and it might have been a little bit closer. Like, they're the way that they stuck around in a lot of these games. I know they've caught some breaks with the opponents they played at the end of the year, but like they've still played some good football. Like the Chargers game. I know the Chargers aren't as good as some people expected them to be, but
Chargers
Brandon
pissed me off
Staley,
so much, man. Oh my goodness.
Brandon Staley that's a really good defense that we did some damage against in the run game. Like we played well that game and we lost on a heartbreaker on that game winning field goal. And that's what happens sometimes. But look, I mean, you take what you get with this team. I'm not gonna, talk about the little shortcoming stuff early on because we've really cleaned a lot of it up. And yeah, it's just a beautiful thing. I mean, seems like we always have one big blowout loss at some point in the year, which to me wasn't the Raiders game. It was the Cowboys game. Like the Raiders won. I mean, I definitely thought it was going to be a little bit closer, but at that point, I wasn't really that upset about it. But there's usually one blowout loss that kind of like sets a tone and really like puts a bad feeling in my heart. And then we come back and we, rally at the end of the year. The one I'm mostly referencing is the Saints one from 2018. And then we came back and almost beat them in the playoffs. And then 2019, like we just looked awful against the Seahawks, and then we almost beat them in the playoffs. So what does that say about this year? Are we going to go and play close with the Cowboys in the playoffs? There's a good chance we will see them first round, but I think that's likely to happen. Look, I don't think that, I think we're going to probably lose round one no matter who we play. But again, you never know. And I'd love to see how we play a second time around because I don't think next week is going to have many implications. I mean, maybe both teams will be playing for seeding, so there might be reason to play. But at the same time, if both teams know there's a good chance they could play each other, they might just say, all right, we don't want them to get a good look at our side because we can't control how anything else plays out. So we're just going to rest our guys because, again, if the thing I'm worried about is like the Cowboys will pretty much be locked into their spot, and then the Eagles will still – maybe one game doesn't go their way, and then the Cowboys will get a look at our offense and defense. But anyway, that was long-winded. That kind of leads me into asking you, who would you want to see first round out of the possible teams we could play, which is the Cowboys. Well, actually, the Cardinals could still win the division too. So really, it is the Cardinals, Cowboys, Rams. The Packers are probably going to get the 1 seed, but let's keep them in consideration. And then who's the other division? The Bucks. That's who it is. So out of those teams, who would you want to play? Who do you think we have a good shot at playing? And after that, do you think we're going to clinch this week?
Of the teams you listed, I got to say, let me go in order and I'll try and break it down again little bit by bit. I mean, for the Cowboys, it's always something. Always be something like play the Cowboys in the playoffs. But right now, given the state of our two teams, I don't know if that's the best matchup in terms of like just getting our team ready to go. I don't know if that's the best matchup draw first round, especially because of how like frightening their defense has been recently. I don't know if that's the matchup I want to take first round anyway. Let me see. After that, who would probably, and people are going to think I'm probably whack for saying this, but I'll say it, I think the Bucks. I think we could get the Bucks, man. I think we could. Because the thing with the Rams is the Rams are up and down. It depends on which Matt Stafford comes to play. That one is entirely dependent on what comes out on the field there. But the Rams scare me a bit just because McVay scares me a lot. So like that one I kind of threw off the table. The same goes for the Cards. As much as they've been on a downhill tick lately, that defense with Vance Joseph is still something fearsome. They still got a lot of talent there. And offensively, I know they don't have Nuke, but they can definitely just come out of nowhere and put up mad stats with that Cardinals offense. We'll see how Cliff closes out the year. Maybe my answer could change to him, depending on how that goes. But for now, I'm going to leave them out of it too. Outside of that, you listed the Packers. We're probably not going to play them, and I most certainly wouldn't want to match up with them either, just because Aaron Rodgers is that dude, and I don't want to be a part of the Last Dance. I don't want it. So outside of that, like the only team you're really left with is the Bucks. And if you think about it, the Bucks are, especially in terms of health, they're on a pretty big downtrend right now. I get they still got offensive weapons, but like Chris Godwin and Mike Evans being out is huge. On defense, they have lost a ton of players this year. And defense was where they made their bones last year in the playoff run. Defense coming up huge against Washington. Defense coming up huge against New Orleans. Defense coming up huge against Kansas City. So like that's another big thing to me. So overall, and it would be so sweet to beat Brady in the playoffs. Oh my gosh. That is an added factor. It's probably the Bucks, man. I surprised myself when I thought about it, but the more I say it, the more I think it makes sense. I would take the Bucks.
I got you, man. Yeah, look, with like Drew said, well, actually Drew says we can run all over Green Bay. Just yeah. Yeah, that's the thing. The second part is definitely going to be a big issue. I don't, yeah, like Sanjay said, I don't want to be part of the last dance, but yeah, I kind of like you kind of threw the Rams out. That's what I actually did with the Bucks, just because I don't want to play Brady. I just every time Brady gets in a one and done situation, I really do have a hard time betting against solely him because even without the talent around him, he just knows how to manage games. And that's a compliment, not a game manager type of player, but he knows how to handle every situation and he knows when they need to score and what they need to do every single drive. So I personally worry about them. But the injuries could definitely, that could definitely hurt them because Brady can only play one side of the ball. But I would really like to play whoever comes out of the West, just because I do think those teams are just so inconsistent. The only thing I worry about with that is the time switch. That's definitely gonna be tough, but we're gonna be traveling no matter what. And also, I mean, the Rams stadium. I know it's the new stadium, but again, we will take over. I guarantee it. So we'll almost have. I wish it was in the Coliseum still, because we definitely have home field advantage if it was there. But yeah, I just feel good about our chances against them. I know Cam Akers is coming back, but they're a little banged up at the running back position, which is a big part of their bread and butter as an offense. And yeah, I think Slay, like he knows Stafford. Maybe he picks him off a couple times, but McVay scares me. I'm a big McVay fan. I'm a big fan of his scheme, but losing Brandon Staley, I think, did a lot more damage to that defense than most thought. So them and then the Cardinals, I'm very down on the Cardinals right now. But Vance Joseph, you bring a good point. I don't like our chances against a guy who's going to bring that many guys to the line of scrimmage because we really have struggled against that.
Picture Jalen trying to read Vance Joseph's defense.
Yeah, it would be tough. But anyway, let's get to some of these comments here. We got a lot of people in here already. Thank you, guys. Drew, good to see you, man. Ryan, we appreciate you. Grandizer, as always. Robert, happy holidays, man. Happy early New Year. We're coming up on that. Tomorrow is New Year's Eve. I didn't realize that.
Oh, wow.
And we've got Nightings in here. What's going on, man? Big Play Slay is hopping in. Good to see all you guys. Let's go through a few of these comments. Yeah, we're doing good. Yeah, thank you for asking, Nightings. We're having a pretty good day. Let's see what else we got here. Yeah, absolutely. That's the thing. Like, you don't think about it early in the season, but every game matters. There's always plays you'd like to have back.
Oh my goodness. They're looking back, bro. That Chargers game, especially, we could have used that. The Giants game, could have used that. There are some games which, low-key, if you think about it, our record had a shot to be a lot better than it was.
Yeah.
Not even like came back from like some blowouts, just like came out of some close games. Were very winnable. This record could have looked a whole lot different.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's always, like I said, there's always plays you'd love to have. I mean, also on the flip side of that, I think like you look at that Carolina game, man, early in the season, like when we were still pass heavy and we were not playing well and our defense kind of
should have lost that game
like
by every metric.
We should have lost that game. Like,
Sam Darnold won that game.
Yeah. Like little things like that, like it goes a long way. Yeah. I mean, there's always gonna be games like that. And that win was in the midst of we had lost 3 in a row, and then after that game we lost 2 in a row. We honestly should have lost like 6 in a row in that stretch, but just getting one win in that rough early draw we had with some of those teams was massive. So yeah. Every game, every play matters. Like it's a big thing. But getting back to a few of these comments here. Yeah, exactly. So we always say it's a new game, one game at a time, and it's win or go home. It's not the regular season anymore. Oh yeah, it's especially because the 2019 one was kind of ruined by Jadeveon Clowney, and then that was really like, yeah, we were in the game, but it really wasn't a game most of the time.
No.
So
once Josh McCown was in that game, there was no more game.
Yeah, I'll give him credit. I mean, he drove us down. We just couldn't get more than field goals. That was the big thing we lost with Carson going out in that game was his red zone efficiency.
Mhm.
Yeah, and they knew they made Josh McCown throw the ball once we got into it. Was a bend but don't break type of thing. So,
Mhm.
but that was still a fun season though. So, but yes, sir. Yes, sir. I am wearing a flannel. It's very comfy. I don't usually wear flannels, but this one's like super comfy. So I appreciate you noticing, Big Boy Slay. Um, yeah, exactly. Rams and Pack. Yeah, Big Play Slay does not want to play the Rams. I don't blame you, man.
Not at
Here's
all.
my honest opinion, guys, and you can give yours after the Sanjay. We're probably gonna lose by 10 points to whoever we play, in my opinion. Now, I think our brand of football, is very playoff like. You know, running the ball that much and having so much success with so many different run concepts, it's going to take us. It could take us a long way, especially down the road, years to come. But I just think teams are going to try to make Jalen win with his arm, and that worries
Yeah.
me a little bit. So, but it's playoffs again. You never know. So,
Like you said, the big like worry is if Jalen is forced to like put the game on his arm. And my bigger issue is against those teams you listed, the Packers and the Rams, the big play option is just always there. Like the ability to rapidly score is always there. And for a team like ours, which relies on the run, just time of possession, keeping your opponent's offense off the field, slowly beating down a defense, if you get in a hole of 10 plus points,
yeah,
you can't really. That's a hard point for a team like ours to operate out of. You see, the Pats are struggling with that right now in terms of, and their defense is not much better than, no, they are much better than ours. Their defense is incredible. And even their team, they can't operate once they get down by more than a touchdown, seems like lately. So for a team like ours who plays that kind of like classic ground and pound defense, hold big in spots and keep the other team's offense off the field, you don't want to be down a lot of points. So that's what really scares me about both the teams Slay listed is they just have the ability to rattle off 2-3 touchdowns like nobody's business.
yeah, definitely. Yeah, this was another game I was looking at. That game was bad. And we were up at halftime, I believe.
Oh
Like
yeah. Huh?
we had opportunities to win that game. But yeah, enough of that though. I mean, I don't want to get down about the games we could have won or who we're going to play in the playoffs. We also got to enjoy the moment a little bit. So we're playing Washington this week again. Ewing, what's going on, man? Good to see you in here, buddy. Yeah, and yeah, we do both live in Philly. So yeah, okay, well, that definitely could be worse. We'll take that. I think the game is in DC, if I'm not mistaken, or FedEx Landover, Maryland. But anyway, yeah, we're playing Washington this week. Look, Washington, they face planted hard. That's putting it lightly. I mean, that was we said it yesterday on the live. Like that was not the type of loss that you want to see in the midst of contention. Yeah, no matter what, no matter how many guys you have out, no matter what the situation is, you at some point you got to stop the bleeding. Like
Jeez,
my
bro.
goodness, that was bad.
The
Um,
NFL should have mercy ruled that. Imagine some poor child watching that, man. That was not. That looked like a high school game, bro. You know when you watch like the high school games where like some like triple like quad no, not even triple, like 7A division like high school is playing like some like 2A division high school and they're
yeah,
just murdering them with like 5 D1 recruits. That was what this game looked like, man. It was.
yeah.
That was who.
Yeah, as coaches do sometimes, they should have ran the clock. They should have started running the clock no matter what when it was like 27 or 28-6. At that point, you just start running it no matter if they get out of bounds, no matter if there's a timeout. You just run the clock. uh, yeah. So, yeah, like Robert says, this will really determine how the Eagles go into the playoffs because we're hot right now for sure, but you'd like to really get hot these last two games, and I think a lot of that
Momentum, man.
starts with getting off to a hot start too. Can't go out there and almost throw an INT on the first drive or turn the ball. I mean, the last two games we've just started out so slow. I mean, Goddard kicked the ball up into an interception last week on third down. Jalen almost threw an interception. Thankfully, got it returned. And then the next drive, he fumbles. Like, we got to get out to a hot start and just like let them know you guys are down, you guys are out. This is over. go home, start the buses, and go play your consolation game next week against, I don't know if they play the Giants. I think they'll probably play the Giants next week. So you gotta just like really you gotta really just buckle down and just let them know it is over. So they've got to start quick, and yeah, it starts with the quarterback. So I'm looking forward to it. I think that I don't know. I think Taylor Heineke practiced in full, but I don't know if he's fully healthy or not. That's another thing now. On the flip side, we got Derek Barnett back, I believe. Or no, we did not. Taron Jackson is back. We've got a few guys. I think Kerrigan's back too, which, again, hopefully he has a revenge game against his team. And Josh Sweat will be in there. I think most of our guys are healthy except Barnett. We need him to come off the COVID list, which would be nice because he does get pressure from time to time. But one quick thing I wanted to mention on Kerrigan, the guy we elevated from the practice squad last week, Cameron Mulvo, had 2 quarterback hits and 3 pressures, which Ryan Kerrigan has 1 quarterback hit and 3 tackles in the entire season. So that should tell you all you need to know about how disappointing Ryan Kerrigan is. And yeah, like Drew said, the drops got to stop. So it's just like simple things like take advantage of matchups, don't play sloppy, and keep the Washington football team down. Because I don't know if you guys saw it, Deron Payne deleted all his Washington football team pictures from his Instagram and stuff. Like, he's upset. And that fight that they had, they're definitely upset. You can tell Ron Rivera is definitely, he's a little bit moody in the press conferences. Like, it's that point of the season for them. They're done. So any thoughts on this matchup coming up, Sanjay?
If this isn't a stomping, I'll be shocked. Like, this has gone from how should I put it? This has gone from potential trap game to just a litmus test to me, where you, again, like you said, anything can happen. It's the NFL. But if we don't lay the beat down on them, I'm going to use that as an indictment against like our team this week. Like, winning isn't enough. You have to, if this isn't a 10+ difference, I will be disappointed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, and like Drew said, like, they're going to be a little bit angry for sure. And they're probably going to get a little over aggressive and try to take out their anger on us. But
aggression, unfortunately, does not make an offensive line.
What'd you say?
Aggression, unfortunately, does not make an offensive line. It does not make corners. It does not allow your receivers to stay healthy.
Yeah. Yeah. And then what's it called? Drew also said, heard Howard is practicing. Do you think they bring up Kerryon or Huntley? Which do you prefer? Yeah. So I did do a video on potential running back replacements the other day. I noted Kerryon could come back. He did on the practice squad now. In terms of who they bring up, this is my thoughts. Since Kerryon did get signed early in the week, so there's definitely a chance he could be called up and play. But what I think they're going to do is I think they're going to let Scott and Gainwell handle the load while putting Huntley on kick returns. Because if Gainwell, they're not going to want Gainwell on kick returns if he's one of the top 2 guys. Now, if Howard plays, I think they still might bring up Huntley, just because he's been with the team the whole year. He was with them last year. He knows everything. He's familiar with the team in the front office. Kerryon, I think, is more like if Howard can't play this, like maybe not this week, but if he can't play next week or like the shoulder stinger persists, I think Kerryon's kind of that safety option who, again, familiar with the coaching staff. He's really good in pass protection too, which is what Howard brings a lot of. They're both very similar running backs. That's what I think. Which do I prefer? I don't know if I have a preference. I mean, I still think Kerryon's got a little bit left in the tank. I know the injuries have definitely hurt him a little bit. With that said, who would I like to see? I'd like to see Kerryon because I think, like Jordan Howard, like I said, I was watching one of my old videos from preseason when I said I think Jordan Howard still got a little bit left in the tank. And, he clearly does. And I'm hoping Kerryon is the same. But because of the injuries with Kerryon, I'd probably prefer to see Huntley just as a safe option. That's my thoughts. I don't know if you have anything to add, Sanjay.
I do actually have a preference. I would prefer Huntley, actually. So I know you like Kerryon, but for me, I've liked Huntley for a little bit. I think he's got I think he has a good bit of untapped potential. I'm not calling him to be like a starter or anything, but I just think his role with this team could have been bigger if we didn't focus so much on running back and have such good talent at the position. Like with the running back room normally of like Howard, Sanders, and like Gainwell. Like, where is a guy like Huntley supposed to fit in? Like, and Boston Scott too in there. Like, when Boston Scott is
Yeah.
your worst running back on your active roster, that's a high bar. So, point being, like, on any other team, I think he could have gotten more of a role. I just think with us, he's been kind of like shoved down the depth chart. And I'm curious to see what we could do with him. Like, if he really got some meaningful snaps, could he become like a decent trade piece? Could he play well enough to get into the rotation somehow? Like, I would like to see Huntley, if not just to see what he's got.
I think the other problem too is that his style is so similar to Scott and Gainwell that there hasn't really been room to call him up and to replace either of them too.
Mhm.
And yeah, I mean, I also would have liked last year if they played him over Corey Clement. My goodness, Corey Clement was bad last year. That also ticked me off. But
Mhm.
look, I mean, I think Huntley's going to get called up. Just because I think they'll want to use him on special teams. I think they protected him this week. I might be wrong, but yeah, predicted Sirianni. Yeah, that's tough. That's tough. Always tough when your prediction doesn't land correctly. But I feel that Wildcat. Yeah, they definitely could use him. I think they're doing a good job of just using him as an extension of the run game on those screen passes. And I think the big thing right now of why he's having success on those screen passes because they're well timed. Like you've seen the past 2 weeks when they've been called, you've had a corner blitzing off of the edge, and then there's blockers out in space, and Rager has so much room to run. So I like him being used just as an extension of the run game. Would I like to see some of those jet sweeps and those pitches in there a little bit more? I would, but I think also I think they're saving them because I think they want to. Those are like nice changeups to have in the run game, and I think they kind of want people to be like, oh, we only saw it on film in the Lions game. We only saw it on once earlier in the season, and then we pull it out in the playoffs as like a little changeup, and we get like 50 yards off of it. So yeah, I have seen him in the backfield a couple times in shotgun, so maybe that happens. But I definitely think he's definitely more of a running back. I'll say this all the time. I mean, the 49ers really would have done well there if he got drafted by them. But I wish we would use him a little more in that sense, for sure.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
really have much to add to this, man. Like, with Rager, he's been having a good few weeks. But for me,
Yeah.
it's just about, can he just contribute? If he can contribute like that, go ahead.
Yeah. It would be phenomenal if Ryan Kerrigan just popped off in the playoffs.
That'd be something.
Yeah, I think it's tough too because we have that Chris Long standard that we hold Ryan Kerrigan up to because that's what we were all expecting him to be. Now here's what I'll say on that too. Was I expecting him to be the same caliber that Chris Long was in those 2 years? No. But was I expecting him to come off the bench and post like 4.5 sacks and maybe like 8 or 9 quarterback hits this year? Yeah. I mean, I was expecting him to put up 3 tackles and 1 quarterback hit. No one could have predicted that. No one. So, but hey, if he goes out there and puts up like 5 sacks in a playoff game like he did against us for like 20
Instant
years,
forgiveness.
yeah, like it won't matter anymore. So, man, but yeah, let us know any topics, questions you guys got. We're just going to kind of be freestyling here. I mean, I've got plenty of stuff we can go over, but anything you want to bring up right now?
There is one thing which I'm curious about, which I'm curious to see what you have to say specifically in regards to this. At what point has Sirianni already like earned his like reevaluation? Like, he's come a long way since the start of the season. I wanted to know your opinion because you were a big Sirianni guy in the preseason. And he had a terrible start. He's come back up a long way since then. But is that enough for you? Is this enough to like commit to him like longer term? Do you still think he's got stuff that he needs to work on? Because I still got some criticisms of him. At what point do you think in this year Sirianni could cement his position? Because obviously we're probably going to end up keeping him for next year. I can't really see a way he gets fired this year.
No.
But for next year at least, at what point what do you think would be the best case scenario for Sirianni moving forward into next year? Because obviously we both think we're probably going to lose in round 1. I just don't think there's much way we get past that. Now, maybe depending on the matchup we draw, injuries, COVID things happening, all of that could change. And obviously it's the NFL, anything could happen. But what do you think is the dream goal for Sirianni at the end of this season to like set the tone, I guess you could say, going forward?
I mean, if he wins a playoff game in his first year, him and Jalen have already done more than what Carson and Doug did in their first year. Granted, I mean, obviously, Doug, Carson, and Nick went to the Super Bowl the next year. So that year of rebuild was worth it for them to learn. But I mean, the learning the Eagles with Sirianni, I'm not saying they're better than the previous, team and coaching staff yet. Obviously, it's the first year. But I mean, what they've done, I mean, they kind of got through their struggles in that I mean, going into the season, we knew that early stretch. Like, I think we expect them to come out with like at least 3 or 4 wins, but we knew that was going to be a tough stretch. But the way they turned it around after that, um, I think that really surprised me. I thought they'd probably finish around 7 or 8 wins, probably leaned more around 7 after that 2-5 stretch for sure. So, dream scenario, yeah, I think if you win a playoff game, you're really, really sitting good if you're Sirianni for years to come. Now I think he is definitely, I think you're gonna have to see in year 3 whether like how long you want to keep him around, because that's around when teams, you've been in the league for a little bit, teams have seen what you've done, especially if Jalen's still a quarterback by then, teams will have a better grasp on him. We'll have a better grasp on other teams too. So will Sirianni. So how he kind of performs in like that year 3 mark, I think year 2, like he just kind of has to like start off better than this year and carry over and have like next year. Cause I think, let's be honest, man, if the Eagles improve their roster a little bit, the expectation next year is going to be, all right, now go to the playoffs and have a chance to like do something. And then in year 3, if we're really good by then, the expectation is, all right, now contend every year. So next year, he's definitely got to live up to the expectations. I think if they do the same that they did this year, he'll still be in a good spot. So if he underperforms next year, we'll kind of be looking at, all right, what went wrong? But I think as long as he kind of like, has a similar season and gets off to a little bit of a better start, I think he'll be in a good spot. And I think year 3 is, my answer is really just year 3, I think is really where you're going to be looking at what to do with him. So, does that answer your question?
Yeah, and I also have, well, no, you kind of answered my follow-up. I was going to ask you, at what point do you think Sirianni should be worried about reaching the league plateau, I guess you could say? Because right now we're still operating under kind of like sucker punch effect. He's a new hire. His plays aren't really that like out there. But I guess you did answer that kind of in around year 3. So like that's kind of also been answered. Yeah, that was really the only thing I wanted to check over with you.
I got you. I would also add, I think having Jeff Stoutland in the building and keeping him in this coaching staff with the run game and the run fits and again, the variety, like again, I'll mention this article by Ben Solak, and it's something that has been kind of on display the whole year, even if you didn't read that article. Like he said it, most teams have their bread and butter with what their run concepts are, right? Like the 49ers, they want to stretch you out, right? They want to go side to side. It's a lot of that wide zone type of stuff. And obviously you have change-ups in every run game, but that's like their base concept. The Eagles, they don't really have like a base run concept. They do everything very, very well. And I think that's a credit to Stoutland. It's a credit to the offensive linemen who are executing. But, again, I think having Stoutland in the building, you're going to be able to continue to play this way no matter who the head coach is. And obviously having a coach like Sirianni who knows when to call these plays helps. And I think the big thing with Sirianni that will keep him around in Philadelphia if he continues to have success is not just what we see on the field, but it's his approachability. He is willing to listen to his other head coaches and willing to listen to other ideas. He's even willing to listen to the fan base too. When they were shouting, run the ball in that Buccaneers game, what did he do? He did run the ball on that drive. So he is willing to take suggestions. He's willing to take other opinions, and he's not stuck to his philosophy. A lot of these coaches just get stuck in their ways, and they can't sustain success after a while. Now we'll see with Sirianni if he ever reverts back to that like pass heavy. We've seen glimpses of it at times because against the Giants, both times he got a little bit too pass happy. But you have to wonder maybe if it's being because Jalen's ankle isn't 100%. That's something we can talk about. But yeah, that's. I just kind of wanted to add that on Sirianni. So I don't know if you had anything to add or if you wanted to get some of these comments.
No, let's go through the comments, man.
I got you. In the offseason, we have to get a possession receiver. I love Quez, not so much Rager, but those are 3 and 4 wide receivers you rotate to get a dominant possession wide receiver, please. Absolutely. Yeah.
It's always just nice to have the guy who goes up and gets it. I mean, preseason, we're kind of hoping we could land Kenny G for that reason. They could have had Dose Kenny G's. Oh, what that would have been.
That would have been
Cool.
awesome. Yeah, I've seen some nice collegiate receivers in the various bowl games so far. Correct. Have you been watching Howie? I thought this was a question for us before I read it, but we'll see. Yeah, I know. I think Big Play Slay brought up to me and Ian on Sunday night Allen Robinson, so I wanted to get your thoughts on that
You say Allen Robinson?
because he was franchise tagged, I believe.
Oh, okay. I mean, he had a bad year this past year, but it's also the Bears. So, I mean, you got to put that on him. But like, I don't know. That's a dangerous one to me because you could end up paying for a guy who's just Franklin. He is on the older side, and his style of play was always go up there, get the ball, and get hit. So it's now definitely one of those which ages well, and that's a dangerous one. I can't say I'd be mad at it if it happened, but I don't know if I'd be ecstatic about it either. I'll put it like that.
Yeah, I think at the least it would just, he would be a presence on the field. Like defenses would definitely have to worry a little bit about him. I mean, A-Rob is definitely one of the better route runners in the game. He is definitely noted for his like contested catch ability, but I think he does a lot of the wide receiver position very well. It really reminds me of the other time we signed a Bears receiver at around like 27, 28 years old. And obviously Alshon came in and won a Super Bowl with us, but that's not what I'm saying. But I do think that, that'd be an interesting one. I think, like you said, there would be pros and cons. I know Big Play Size. I believe Big Play Size is a big A-Rob guy. I am too. So it would be interesting. I just think it's tough to warrant paying that much. I think he's going to cost. I know he didn't put up the production for a big contract, but he's A-Rob. He's going to get some money if he goes somewhere else. So unless the Bears just continue to hold him captive and to pull a Kirk and franchise tag him every year, man. But let's hope not. I think that'd be interesting. But regardless, we need someone. I think Jalen has shown even with this wide receiving core, he's willing to let his guys go up and make a play at times. So getting a possession receiver is a big need this offseason. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm not mad at that, man. I mean, it is what it is. We've been complaining about a possession receiver for the longest. I just need to see how we go out and get one now. It's one of those things I don't even feel is worth harping on anymore.
Yeah, definitely. Knighting says, I'm excited for next year. Sadly, we have the NFC North division. That's the one division we play. So we do play the Packers and the Vikings. Yeah, in the regular season, they definitely have had our number.
That depends on what time we play the Vikings. And the Packers, we could be playing Jordan Love. So I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, I don't know. Aaron's been definitely hinting at coming back a little bit. So we will see how that plays out. I think he's going to be back for another year. But I'm definitely gonna, even if he comes back, this is the last dance. I don't care what happens after this year. So, yeah, but hey, at the same time though, look, we still got the Lions. They're still going to be rebuilding. And I know the Bears could get better, but they're still going to be a mess too.
That's the Bears, man.
Really depends with those two teams, like what point of the season we get them in. Like if we get those teams early in the season, I'll feel good about our chances against them for sure. So, and then we also play the AFC South.
Hey, you know who's there.
Yeah, we know who's there. And then we also got to play King Henry. But then you also get the gift of, that's the other thing, dude. Not only will we have like all the connections with the Colts and our coaches and their coaches and their players and our players, we could also play a Doug Peterson-led Jaguars team, man.
I did see that.
Yeah.
That's interesting to me. I don't know how I feel about that. But I'm low-key happy for Doug, I really am. I think he went a bit downhill with us towards like the end of his time with us, but the Jags didn't give him an interesting chance to reinvent his image.
Absolutely. I'm really excited for him. I think, look, as frustrated as I was with Doug in his final year, I think an off season, I've said this so many times, an off season or a season away from the game, I think will do him well. And I think he's going to come back. And I think you're going to see Trevor Lawrence play good football under him too. Like, I really think that's going to be a big key for Peterson and that Jaguars offense. Now, that defense probably won't be too special, but I think he's going to have a a very 2016-esque season with them, and where they go like 7-10, maybe 6-11, and they improve off of what they did last year. If he is hired, I think he's the perfect candidate for that job right now too. And they need someone like after the whole Urban Meyer mess, they need like a good locker room and players coach, and Doug will absolutely bring that to them. So I think that's definitely going to be a big draw in getting him here. Oh my gosh! Don't remind me about that fourth quarter Titans loss. Jeez, man. Oh, you're good. You're good, man. Sanjay just sent me something in private chat. If you need to take a minute away, no worries, bro. But yeah, no, that loss where Corey Davis, I mean, and we had them down to 4th and 16 with Corey Graham, and then Corey Graham just blows the coverage. Had him down to 4th and 7. Vontae Maddox gets like mossed on the last play. We shouldn't have even been in overtime in that game. And not to mention our offense also couldn't produce, but that was the whole story of that era, I felt like. So yeah, the guy in Indy. That's a good way to put it. First round pick. That's all that matters now. Trevor led Jaguars who just fired. It was a jerk. Yeah, that would be an interesting matchup too. The last time we played them was in London the year after they went to the AFC Championship. Can you believe the Jaguars were an AFC Championship team years ago? My goodness, that feels like ages ago. I cannot believe that was the case. Like it doesn't compute. It doesn't compute.
Bro, that was the time. Blake Bortles was also there then. Ooh. They were up on the Pats, and then all of a sudden Brady went.
They were minutes away from playing us in the Super Bowl. Now they would have lost. You know,
back in the days of Saxonville, man. What a throwback.
Calais Campbell, Jalen. It's weird to think Jalen Ramsey played there too. Like, man, wild
How
times.
far Jacksonville has fallen, dog.
Wild times.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Eagles need to concentrate on a solid run stop in the middle of the D line and linebacking help in the draft. There's some nice players out there. Yeah, so I guess, what's his name? Grandizer put up our draft picks right now. We still have, I mean, I know they're going to be at the back end of the first round, but look, you have 3 first rounders and you make the playoffs, like assuming we clinch. What a season that'll be. I mean, that's a big accomplishment. So where are you kind of at now that we've talked about the draft positions all season long, but we've kind of got a good grasp on where we are as a team right now. Robert mentions positions to target. I honestly think the whole defense is of need, but where do you stand on that? And also, I want you to go beyond just the first round addressing, because I think a lot of the assumptions have been mostly defense in the first round, but beyond that, what are kind of our other holes we need to fill, even if they're just like secondary holes?
To me,
not
it all
like,
starts
not like the secondary is in DBs and safeties, but like not primary holes.
If I had to start, it would definitely start on the D line, just because that's such a big predicate of Gannon's defense. You need that. You need to be able to apply constant pressure, preferably with 4 people. So to me, that's where it all starts. From there, quarterback is okay, but if you look at our depth chart, there's not a whole lot of guys behind him. So, at some point, but that's probably a secondary. That'd be a secondary priority, would be look for some depth in the cornerback spot. Maybe a guy in like the 3rd or 4th round who you could slowly start to groom into a backup fringe starter, maybe starter. And from there, second to defensive line, I got to say, offensive line is weird because I like how our team consistently drafts prospects for that position, but we don't really have many spots to rotate guys in right now, especially next year. We already have most of like the line locked up. So that'll again probably fall to a secondary priority. I'm trying to think if there's any other like big ones. Well, linebacker, obviously, that's already been said there. But no, I think it really is just those 2. Everything else seems like kind of a secondary spot. I think, there is one other one. Safety, we could definitely use a young guy at safety to come up and be like that dude. We really could use a young safety. No offense to McLeod, but like he's not getting any cheaper. He's not getting any younger, and he's also been injury prone. So, it'd be nice at this point to get a little bit of like a successor for McLeod to train. You feel me?
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Yeah. I mean, I kind of sit at the same spot. we need a game wrecker on the defensive line. That goes without saying. And like Robert said, like having someone at defensive tackle just to stuff the run a little bit. There's like Cox and Hargrave had done a good job in the pass rush this year, but Hargrave I don't think has done a good enough job stopping the run. I think Cox has done a pretty good job stopping the run. But we could use. I mean, maybe Milton can step up next year. He's made a few plays the last couple weeks, so that's the hope. So maybe they don't. Maybe they trust in him. But Ridgeway, I like Ridgeway. He's a good fourth guy. If you can get someone to replace him in like the third or fourth, maybe we snag that. To me, it's really best player available most of the time, especially in the first round. You've got to take the first round. If there's like me and Ian were talking about, there's like a stud wide receiver and like a stud defensive guy. Maybe you lean defensive guy, but if there's a stud wide receiver and he's the clear best guy on the board, you take him. Look, it's you got to get generational talent wherever you can. So, but
unless you're Howie, who will draft the third rounder, who everybody is sleeping on.
That's the thing, dude. Is people forget like picks 13 and up, like we're usually pretty good. Like the higher up our pick is, there's just like less room for error. I think the further back we go, the worse we get with drafting. I mean, you can look at the list of guys who have been drafted from like 20 and on by the Eagles. It's an ugly list, highlighted by none other than Marcus Smith, who never panned out to be anything, and Danny Watkins, who was a firefighter, and that's what he's known for, not his football prowess at all. That tells you how his NFL career went. But yeah, so I think, defensive line is a big, big need. Linebacking help. I will say, man, this is something I've been thinking more and more about, especially since we don't draft linebackers. I mean, TJ has really he's gotten to a point where I might honestly just let him play. I mean, he got an extension now. I might honestly just let him play his fourth year and just roll with him in that Mike spot. Like, I really do think he's got it in him. And I think Davion, you drafted him in 2020. He was really starting to turn a little bit of a corner, and he was consistently starting before he got hurt. Like, maybe you ride it out with these guys. I think maybe linebacker, maybe I might regret saying this next year, because they could totally revert back to the norm. But and I don't think it's wrong to bring in competition for them. I'm not opposed to that. But, I don't think they need to target it in the first round. I think maybe you get a guy on day 2 or day 3. But my opinion has kind of shifted on the linebacker position with how TJ Edwards has played.
I got you. And that's a fair thing. I think especially the big jump he's seen in terms of being able to react in pass coverage. Before he just get lost. And that was he could always run stop. But the jump he's taken in terms of just at least doing something in pass coverage has been key to this team and to Gannon's defense, just because he loves bringing linebackers in to cover receivers. So you just have to be able to do that if you're playing that scheme. And I got to admit, I was low on Edwards to start the season, but he's won me over as the time has gone on. It's just, he just comes up in big moments, man.
Yeah.
He's made less mistakes as the year has gone on, and he's made more plays too, which just, you put those two things together, I can take that, and there is something to be said for the player, versus the unknown. Like, it's nice to say a prospect has the potential to play better and the talent to play better. But TJ is playing like this now. He's doing it on the field, and that isn't something that I feel should be undervalued. So you know what? I wouldn't have said it myself before you just raised it, but I like that. I like that you just let TJ go and see what else we got at the linebacker spot next year. Again, that could come back to haunt us in a big way. But for now, at least, I'm down with that.
Yeah, definitely. And like Drew has said, I mean, I agree. It depends on who's available for one. Like, if there's a Micah Parsons-esque guy, you can't pass on them again. Howie will, but I will be of the opinion that you should take him, just to be clear. And I think that doesn't mean you don't take a linebacker the whole draft, kind of like we did last year, right? I think you definitely bring in guys to help out, but I'm cool with riding with those two guys right now. Outside of that, like you said, corner, you got to get some depth there, especially if Steven Nelson isn't back next year. That's a position you might want to, even if there's a guy on the board in round 1, there's going to be some good corners available in round 1. You might want to take a chance. And then, like you said, safety, you like you said, not just a good safety, someone who can really lead, because that's been our leader position with Dawkins, with even McLeod this past year, and obviously Malcolm Jenkins played there. You need some steadiness back there, and secondary needs as far as that goes. I think TE2 is a big, like getting someone behind Goddard, kind of like we got someone behind Ertz. Like we had Ertz and Selleck, and then once Selleck kind of drifted out, we brought Goddard in right away. And, once Trey Burton left, we got Goddard right away. They really want to have like a good TE2, and we haven't this year. We've had some good guys. We got like Stoll and Jackson can block. They're okay at that, but I'm more of the opinion if there's a guy available in round 3 or on day 3 on like a 4th round or 5th round pick, how he could always get extra capital too. You might want to bring in like a big body red zone target who can also block a little bit. Because you can always train them. I mean, I don't know. I think our tight ends coach is, I think it's Jason Michael. But he worked with the Colts for so long. I mean, Jack Doyle, Mo Alley Cox, and Trey Burton last year was a pretty good trio to have. They've developed a couple dudes. I mean, Alley Cox has been really fun to watch him develop. So I would trust him, see if he can develop some of these guys well. Because again, Stoll and Jackson, I mean, those aren't like you didn't spend any capital to get them really. I mean, Jackson you picked up off the waiver wire. Stoll was an undrafted free agent. Like those aren't guys you expect to be like big time names. So I would prefer them to compete for the 3rd spot. And see who gets it, and whoever doesn't get it, you keep them on the practice squad. I would hope Jackson makes it because I think he's really, with his build, he could be a matchup nightmare in the future. We'll see if he really ever develops into anything. But Stoll also, I think, brings you steadiness. What you have in Stoll. So that's one of the big things I've been thinking about is the TE position. And offensive line, you can always get that there too. That's always important to get guys in there.
Always.
Yeah. So long-winded answer, but that's kind of where I'm at draft-wise now. I mean, we will probably do a separate episode on this, but you want to try some playoff machine?
I was going to say, like, it is about time that we do like a little bit of a predictor. I don't want to do the whole thing. Let's just do the NFC out. Let's do that.
Yeah.
Let's do the NFC out next 2 weeks.
All right. Let me pull it up.
Because I'm curious. I just want to see right now. And you know what? This could be an interesting reaction come end of everything, like postseason, like to see like how everything played out. Did we get to like the seedings right? Did we get to like specific playoff matchups right? All that. That'd be interesting.
Yeah, we should definitely get a video together with some of the boys to play it all out.
I'd be more than down for that. That'd be interesting.
Yeah. All right. Here we go. Let me zoom in too.
We'll see it.
All right. So this is this week, right? And I kind of want to go up here so that we don't see like the seeding, but yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All right. So NFC.
All right, let's go. Well, I think we got to take the Bills first. I think from there, I think it's pretty clear we got to take the Bears, right?
Foles, baby.
Oh yeah.
Did you see that? Did you see that Foles game winner, man?
I did. That thing
was sick.
St. Nick, man, he does it like that.
Yeah.
Let's go with this one. This one I think you called upset for this one, but I would still take the Chiefs on this one. It doesn't really matter though because it's AFC.
Yeah, just NFC. So Niners, Texans.
Niners, Texans. I gotta say, I'm tempted to take General Mills, but I think that's hoping for a bit too much. I'll roll with the Niners still.
I gotcha.
Oh, did we do Rams, Ravens? Are they playing each other?
They are.
I'll take the Rams.
All right.
Cards, Cowboys. I know you're want to take the Cowboys, but I'd want to take the Cards. And
all right.
Let's roll with. Oh, that's a garbage bowl. I'll take the Saints.
Saints.
Mm-hmm. I'll take the Bucks. I'll take the Lions, actually. I take the Lions.
Okay.
Yeah. Packers, yep. And Eagles.
All right. I'm going to wait till next week to show the seating. All right. Let's run through this now that we got it.
All right. Let's go with, that's another garbage bowl, but I'll take the Falcons. Vikings. That's tough. You pick that one, man. I don't even know what to take out of that.
I'm going with the tie.
Of course you are. Oh, that's weird because I don't know. They'll be playing for
No.
seeding
Yeah.
though. So sadly, I'm gonna say I think they do get it. Yeah,
Okay.
they can have the regular season win.
Well, in your scenario, I will spoil this. The Eagles have clinched from last week. So
Okay.
yeah, because I already know the scenarios.
Bucks. Then we'll go with Cards. The Cards defense alone could beat the Seahawks. Packers. And I think that's an interesting one. They'll be the Rams. I'll say the Rams. The Rams will probably be fighting for seeding then too.
All
I think
right.
that's everyone, right?
What'd you say?
I think that's everyone, right?
Yep, you got it. So this is how the seeding all shakes out. So we would play the Rams in the first round if this was the case. The Niners would play the Bucks, and the Cardinals would play the Cowboys, while the Packers would be the 1 seed. So with that said, I want you to predict these matchups now.
If Arizona has to go to Dallas, I have a hard time seeing Dallas not getting the win there.
All right.
I can see that. If it goes Tampa and Frisco, I'm going to do something. This could be a bit crazy, but I could actually see Frisco getting the upset here.
I could.
I'd call Frisco here. And last, us and the Rams. Common sense just tells me to take the Rams. Now, come playoff time, we'll see how I feel. But like right now, it's on paper, it's the Rams.
Yeah, don't worry. The day before the game, we'll switch that answer.
Oh yeah, no for sure.
All right. So in your scenario, then the Niners would go to play Green Bay in round 2, because the Niners are the lowest seed remaining. That would be a fun game. NFC chip rematch from years ago. And then the Cardinals would play the Rams in a divisional matchup. Or sorry, no, the Cowboys.
No, I had
the
Cowboys.
Rams. Wouldn't be. Yeah. So the Cowboys would play the Rams. So
that would be 2 interesting games, man. That'd be 2 interesting games. I'd have to say, Packers and Niners. I got to give it to A-Rod. I'll give it to A-Rod. 3rd straight NFC championship. And Cowboys and Rams. I feel fairly comfortable saying I think the Rams could take the Cowboys. I think they could.
Yeah. That's the NFC chip I've been rooting for the whole year, because either way, I'll be happy with who comes out of it. Obviously, I'd love the Eagles to go all the way, but I either want the Rams and Stafford to do well, or I want A-Rod's last dance. So that's the best of both worlds for me. And then who would you have win in that game?
Oh, that's tough. I don't want to say Aaron Rodgers loses the NFC chip.
I know. But the Packers have so many times, and it hasn't been his fault.
I'll take the Rams.
Yeah, I'll be cheering for the Packers, but the history tells me that the Rams know how to get to the Super Bowl, and the Packers have not been able to do that, sadly. Again, not by Aaron Rodgers' own doing. He's played pretty well, but maybe not in that San Fran game. But anyway, so that was a fun little exercise there. We'll have to see. You'll have to tune into an episode soon to see who we'd take in the AFC and who would win the Super Bowl. So, yeah, anything you want to say before we wrap up here, man?
No, I think it's an interesting time, guys. It's an interesting time of year. I'm curious to see how things play out over the next few weeks. And I mean, as always, fly Eagles fly, go Birds go. We'll see how things roll out, man. How do things finish out?
Yeah, we will have our weekly preview for you guys tomorrow or Saturday, hopefully. Or maybe we'll do one pregame. We'll see. We'll let you guys know. We'll set it up. And we'll definitely have videos coming out as things either start to go the Eagles' way or don't go the Eagles' way. No matter what happens, we'll get little videos out in the clinching scenarios. So just for me to wrap up, for the Eagles to make the playoffs, this is what needs to happen. So obviously, first, we win. Second, the Packers beat the Vikings, which is actually the night game. So we won't even know that until 8:20 p.m. When that game starts. Third criteria is one of these games needs to go our way. So either the Saints lose to the Panthers or the 49ers beat the Texans. And the reason we need the 49ers to win is because if we're in a 3-way tie with the 49ers and the Saints, they those two teams get in and we wouldn't. So we need the tiebreaker to be out of the window. So a Saints loss or 49ers win would eliminate that possibility. So, so go Birds, go Pack, go, bang, bang, Niner gang, and not who dat. So, what's it called? Keep pounding. We can need to cheer for the Panthers. So, anyway, that's the scenario, guys. We'll keep an eye on it. We'll have some fun content coming out as the playoffs are here. We did some fun playoff previews last year. So, with that said, y'all, run, baby, run, fly, Eagles, fly, and we will see y'all later. Peace.